Hello and welcome to Game Changer. I'm Maryam Zia. President Asif Ali Zardari is on a state visit to China on the invitation of President Xi Jinping. And when we talk about Pakistan-China ties, we will be talking about different dimensions of these relations over the years in today's program. This visit aims not only to boost economic ties, but also when we talk about counter-terrorism efforts of both the countries and also the progress that is made on China-Pakistan economic corridor. The discussions between the leadership will be held on these areas. And also this visit is very significant in regards to geopolitical implications. When we talk about further solidifying all-weather strategic partnership between Pakistan and China, what this visit means for, of course, friendship between China and Pakistan, we will be discussing in today's program. And of course, with the changing geopolitical dimensions, how this visit is holding importance, especially when we talk about regional instability and also changing global environment. To discuss this and more, we are joined in the studios by Mr. Ghulam Hussain Abid Sipra, who is foreign policy expert. Welcome to the program. We are joined online by former ambassador, Mr. Baluch. Welcome to the program. We're also joined by development expert, Dr. Jasim Anwar. Welcome to the program. Mr. Baluch, let me start with you. When we look at this visit of President Asif Ali Zardari, this is a state visit at the invitation of President Xi Jinping. How significant is it in your opinion, especially when we look at in the context of the visit of President Xi Jinping back in 2015, and how do you think Pakistan-China ties have evolved over the past decade?
Thank you, Maryam. I think it's a continuation of our strategic, time-tested, and I think our relationship, which is actually termed with a lot of metaphors, but those metaphors are just not words. But fortunately, the two countries have been really able to work together to translate those metaphors, that is higher than the friendship, higher than the mountains, sweeter than the honey, and deeper than the oceans. And it is because I think the history and geography, these are two important, I think, factors which normally determine the friendship or otherwise of two or more countries. And I think luckily for us, the history between Pakistan and China since 70s, since China engaged with the world, Pakistan became a bridge, and that bridge continues to be there. And perhaps it was again our visionary leadership that time. And I think as a historian, one can always say that it was Syed Bhutto who could see that this is that Pakistan's future is in Asia, and that in Asia, this is the power which will ultimately emerge, that is Chinese people. So he emphasized, and imagine that was the time when Pakistan was fully into the Western camp. But that was again, I think credit goes to him being a intuitive leader with a sense of history and international politics, that he was able to see that. So since that time, I think Pakistan-China relations have matured into a model of how the friendship should be. That is, and then as Chinese role, its capacity, its power has gone from being just a regional country to a global power. Now almost China is at the verge of being the eminent global power in the world. At that time, and also that we see the tectonic changes in the global dynamics, where we see a global power receding its role,
Right,
where
right, and
we
right,
see a
very, very, very rightly said. But let me bring in Mr. Sapra into the discussion. Mr. Sapra, of course, like G.R. Baluch Saab alluded to, the global changes that are happening in the world, and in the world, in the words of Chinese officials, they are also saying that profound changes that were unseen in century. This visit comes in a context of that. How do you see this visit, especially when Trump 2.0 is in the office, and of course the ties between US and India, and then especially I want your opinion on the timing of this visit.
Thank you, Maryam. This visit is very important, especially in the context of the contemporary international scenario. President Zardari, you know, during the previous tenure when he was the president, so he brought CPEC in Pakistan, and he has given the vision to Pakistan that Pakistan must economically strengthen. Secondly, as you see, China always supported Pakistan, especially in the context of the foreign relations, and Indian convergence of interest towards India, and especially the issues with China, they are problematic, especially the new game started, especially the AI race started between US and China. So ultimately, it is also changing the scenario. And I think so this is a game changer in the contemporary situation. And ultimately, if we see, we have historically border tension from the eastern border, from the Indian side. So it is quite clear that Biden ultimately, during the Biden tenure, it was supported to India. And during President Trump, so ultimately this has also been supportive to India. And Pakistan continuously support from China. This is, I think so, also a very important in the context of the geostrategic
of course,
situation.
it is an all-weather friendship. Dr. Jasim, let me come to you. When we talk about this significant visit, of course, one of the key aspects of this visit is China-Pakistan economic corridor, and especially when we talk about CPEC phase 2. And when we look at the figures, of course, CPEC phase 2 promised to create 2.3 million jobs by 2030. Given the challenges Pakistan is facing at the moment, how realistic is this, and how do you see this visit in the context of collaboration between both the countries in creation of jobs?
Well, thank you so much for having me. I would like to highlight a couple of angles of this visit for president. Number one, Asian Games are about to start, and so Pakistan participation is very critical in that. Secondly, the recent visit of the U.S. delegation to Pakistan and offering a trade support and bilateral cooperation in the mutual human capital and all some other aspects. So in that account, and the global dynamics of the power shift, it was very critical to reinsure and reinforce our relationship with the China, particularly the bridging up the gaps, and also strengthening the further roadmap of CPEC 2, which is upgradation of certain economic zones and creation of knowledge corridors, which actually is the pathway to lead the employment generation in Pakistan. So adding on to that particular angle, this visit has its own strategic importance. While I would also like to, highlight that, how the global politic is emerging and how the power balance is shifting, while China is and was and will remain our very strategic partner due to our particular geopolitical and geographical location, and also, the One Belt, One Road initiative, and the role of CPEC in overall the broader connectivity between the Central Asians and the Middle East and Europe. So, in that context, I see that it's very promising, and Pakistan always is in the favor of creating a diplomatic relationship with its allies, partners, and wherever we see the economic opportunities leading to $1 trillion economy, which is the target set by the Prime Minister in Iran, Pakistan, to be achieved by 2035. Uh, Having said that, I would also highlight, the key strategic numbers over here. The Pakistan export volume to China is about 2 billion USD. It's about, I think, 2023 figure. And the US volume is 500 billion um, USD. So we also need to, pitch in while promoting export, uh, encourage the Chinese CPEC to come into CPEC economic zones. And this mission is particularly focusing that angle. Yes.
Right, we will be talking about special economic zones and of course how to increase and what kind of MOUs are going to be signed in this specific visit or the implementation of previously signed visit. But Mr. Jia Baluch, let me come back to you. When we talk about this specific visit, how significant is it in context of a symbolic context when we look at because Chinese are celebrating, their New Year celebrations are going on, and also like Dr. Jasim also alluded to Winter Games coming up, and President Zardari is going to be participating in that as well. So how does this hold a diplomatic value for Pakistan, and how significant is that in?
Definitely, each visit, and especially if it's a visit of the head of the state, has a symbolic value as well as it has a value of in terms of content. And of course, President Zardari, again a very visionary leader, who during his first tenure went to China, I don't know how many times. I wonder if he himself remembers that how he used to go into the length and breadth of China to see how this Chinese miracle has taken place. And he probably imbibed that miracle, that experience, and brought in the ideas. And essentially, the groundwork for CPEC was indeed during that tenure of his. And now, since CPEC has been translated into a practical infrastructure building stage has been crossed, and now is the critical, in fact, more critical stage of CPEC is CPEC 2, that is job creation and industry development. So I think Pakistan has been approaching Chinese industrialists to shift those industries to Pakistan, for which they think they are either depleting those or deleting those, or they are upgrading to some other technologies, or since their labor costs have gone up, so and they have been shifting. And also, so there's a entirely new, as we know, entirely new dynamics of international trade with the coming of President Trump and his slogan of India first, and tariffs being his most favorite word. So I think in that case, I think there'll have to be a more collaboration and cooperation with Pakistan as to how to actually, this challenge can become a opportunity for Pakistan. In fact, why not?
Talking about that, Mr. Jia Baluch, talking about that opportunity, Pakistan and China are expected to sign new investment agreements. What agreements do you think are going to be signed, and what industries are going to be benefited other than our traditional industries?
Obviously, I think we have tried to explore new avenues, which is actually IT, information, technology, and what is, because this is the time of what is called knowledge economies. So this is where, and I think China is now the cutting edge of technology. In fact, in the future will be of the countries who have the technological edge, and that is the whole battle about. That as we see now, AI and deep sea has completely changed the dynamics within just one application has been actually, this is the first card that China has actually played in this battle of technological competition. So I think Pakistan can. In fact, the other day I was just thinking really that Pakistan should, and I hope, and I'm pretty sure that there would be some brief on as to how AI can be sort of replicated in Pakistan, and how can Pakistan, China collaborate in establishing hubs here in Pakistan. We have a great talent of youth who could be really trained into AI, and we could become should chip in into this technological revolution that China has embraced. So I think if I was there, I would definitely go for it. That whatever we do because AI has application in every field of life. In fact, it has changed the entire perspective of development. So I think AI for agriculture, AI for medical, AI for education. So I hope that we would be seeking more Chinese collaboration in science, technology, and especially in AI. Yes, Maria.
Right. Rightly pointed out that given Pakistan's huge youth bulge, there is a lot of potential for cooperation between both the countries. But Dr. Jasim, coming back to you, you earlier mentioned about special economic zones and CPEC, when we talk about CPEC phase 2, special economic zones remain an important part of those. How successful have those special economic zones been so far, and what role do they play, in your opinion, in attracting a foreign direct investment beyond China?
All right. Number one, the strategic location of these special economic zones. So there are certain actions that were on the part of the government of Pakistan, which was actually ensuring the site is allocated, ensuring that the electricity and the power infrastructure is in place, and also its connectivity through the main arteries of the road highways. And that has already been in place, especially many are connected through motorways. And if some of those were not connected directly to the motorways, but they are directly connected by the national highways. So that part is very crucial on part of the government. Now, coming to how strategically important these will be, and how they will contribute to Chinese as well as other counterparts. So number one, for that you need to understand what kind of exports Pakistan, the China is importing from Pakistan. So basically, they are raw materials of cotton, agricultural products like cereals and the copper, and surrounding these, raw products. So the first objective that China is seeking into is to industrialization, setting up those plants that can be, established through cheap labor and by building the human capital in Pakistan. So this will actually reduce the trade deficit by a significant number. Now, the similar approach goes to China and beyond. Beyond means, we will be offering these lands for IT industry, solarizations. The e-vehicle is a very attractive for Central Asians, and we are already talking through our embassies with the Central Asians and the Middle Easterns. UAE, Saudi is also a key strategic partner in offering these economic zones for setting up the industries, focusing oil refineries, cement industries, agriculture, R&D, value additions, and the vehicles. All these sectors will create an open market rather than creating Pakistan on more central position not only to China, rather than all the South to South cooperative countries, as well as to
Right.
US markets, as well as Central Asians. Yes.
Exactly, exactly. And what challenges do you foresee in implementation of those criteria when we talk about special economic zones?
Yes, you see, one of the agenda of this current visit of our president to China is the security concerns, and we see the recent rise in a couple of incidents in Balochistan by nationalist movements and some terrorist attacks. Uh, this is the biggest threat that government sees, and the Chinese are also requesting Pakistan to enhance the security measures. And Pakistan, through this mission that is on way to Chinese government, as well as some subsequent visits and previous visits, are reassuring that Pakistan is taking certain measures to control this security crisis and this incident. Pakistan is doing the best, and in coming years, through cooperation with the military as well as to establishment, certain measures will be taken to ensure that the Chinese, and for that reason, any other country, they are safe, and this country, political policy continuity and the security is provided. That is the keystone to turn this economy into an export-oriented economy.
Right,
Yes.
right. And Mr. Sapra, of course, Mr. Sipra, when we talk about these issues and this specific visit, security remains one of the main factors that will be discussed in the meetings between the leaders. When we look at the numbers, of course, reports suggest that over 8,000 security personnel have been appointed for the security of Chinese officials at different parts. But in your opinion, what kind of security or additional security measures are needed at this point in time so that there is continuity in operations or progress of CPEC phase 2?
Well, which we have been facing since long. Whenever the project was started, CPEC started earlier in 2013. So since that, the focus was on the energy, and ultimately many of the Chinese, they have participated in different projects. So that time Pakistan provided well-proved security to the Chinese. But our enemy, they are trying to target Chinese, especially to sabotage CPEC. So ultimately, security concerns are still, we are facing sometimes, especially the Karachi incident and in several incidents in Balochistan. So ultimately, they, especially India, is targeting and sabotaging the CPEC. So Pakistan trying to satisfy the Chinese.
Mr. Sipra, how do you think that China views BLA's, of course, efforts in sabotaging CPEC or, of course, other projects or initiatives?
This is a perception that sometimes these militant groups are backed by our enemy. So we are trying to be safe, providing safety to the Chinese. But ultimately, even BLA been backed from some agencies in the Balochistan, and they are especially targeting the project in Balochistan as well as wherever even these Chinese are being here in Pakistan, so they are trying to target these people. So ultimately, at every cost, Pakistan tried to save Chinese, and Pakistan is trying to build confidence of the Chinese. Although Chinese is not been especially well on such issues, but ultimately because of our historical friendship, China sometime supporting Pakistan security agencies as well. My own opinion is as if we have to improve our security, to ultimately we can also have some agreement on the security of the Chinese, especially with China at the bilateral level. So
Right.
in this way, I think so we can further improve the breach. Sometime it have been facing, the Chinese have been
Right.
softly targeted by the
Of course,
such
and
kind of
Pakistan has
re-elements.
already taken a number of security measures to improve security of Chinese officials in Pakistan, which Chinese
Yeah.
government has recognized as well. But moving on, Mr. G.R. Baluch, when we look at criticism on CPEC or of course BRI, it has received a global criticism in the past as well. In your opinion, given Pakistan's economic dependency on many of these initiatives, how can Pakistan navigate these concerns?
Yeah, a little bit correction I'll make. It's not a global criticism at all. It is just a certain Western interest and a certain segment of like some countries. And to be very specific, the country which has a contest with China, that is the USA, and some Western countries probably, they have been telling us in different ways, even they were in public to say that Pakistan is walking into a debt trap. But for sure, they know that BRI is a collaboration among all the nations, and it flows from the Chinese president's vision of a common destiny of the humankind. And they always have been advocating win-win situation. So I think here is the entire philosophy of development and collaboration. While we see the voices coming from the West now and those so-called big democracies, and they say my country first, and we hear boycotts, we hear trade tariffs, we hear some other threats. What we hear from China, not only for Pakistan, but entire world, that there has to be a common destiny. There has to be a global initiative for development. There has to be a global initiative for security. There has to be a global initiative for cultural affinity among the people. This is the philosophy of the president of China. And that has been translated into BRI, which now connects the entire globe. And this is where the problem comes. So it's, of course, basic approach to the world. So I think this is where the Chinese ascendancy comes. And this is where BRI in general and CPEC especially becomes a target of those disruptive forces in the region. And I would say even which may not be in the region, global, those forces which do not see China emerging as the preeminent global power, which is respected. The most important thing is that
talking
Chinese...
about those forces, Mr. G.R. Baluch, in your opinion, how does Pakistan balance its strategic ties with China while maintaining ties with the US, given the increasing US-China tension?
Definitely, I think we obviously have said that we will never be part of any camp. And hopefully, and Chinese understand, our friends understand us that the Chinese, and they have said it in many, many words, that Pakistan-China relationship has not to be at the cost of Pakistan's relation with any other country. So, and China obviously is so like connected, interlinked, and it is with the global economy and the Western economies in particular, and the US as well, that it is unthinkable even for them to completely isolate China as such. No, not at all. Or they de-link it. They say de-risk it. So I think while we see a lot of rhetoric on the face and the media, essentially Pakistan can find place. And very interesting words of wisdom that President Xi said, that this world is too big for many, like at least the two big powers. He was when responding to the US stance on continue to dominate the world. So I think the world is too big for many, many great powers to grow. Why not? Medium powers, small regional actors. So I think there has to be a world where everybody prospers. Obviously, we know that it is only through peaceful coexistence, it's only through collaboration and cooperation that
Of
world is
course.
today where it is. So I think
Of course,
we,
collaboration
by
is very important, and let me bring in Dr. Jasim into the discussion. Dr. Jasim, connectivity remains an important aspect when we talk about collaboration, and let's talk about infrastructure and connectivity projects, how they are going to be improved after this visit, in your opinion, especially when we talk about ML1 railway upgrade that is going to be costing, of course, 6.7 billion, which was considered and is considered a priority project under CPEC. Also, Gwadar Port has been described as a game changer when we talk about CPEC, but the progress has been slow. How do you think this visit is going to be speeding up the different infrastructure projects or initiatives?
Well, starting from the Gawada you just mentioned, you must be aware that the first flight has already been, started from Gwadar, which is in a very important milestone achieved in terms of operationalizing the connectivity through the air route. The next is, your ML1 as well as upgradation of the Karachi port as well as functionalizing the some of the aspect of the Gawada port. They are already on way. This particular visit and the previous PM visit and earlier to that, Professor S. N. Iqbal Saab's visit, they are all in continuity to overall, our strategic partnership and finalizing some of those agreements uh, that will ensure the flow of the money, the finances required, and the actions that are required on the part of the government, and to reinsure that the security is our concern also, and government is taking more action. Now, adding on to what further will be done is trying to create a 24 by 7 and 12 months open communication network. And for that, there are certain projects being considered to ensure that during the winter times, when we have some connectivity issues in some part of the northern areas, so that is also being considered to ensure that the road connectivity is maintained throughout the year. This is
And
also
Dr.
being
Jasim,
welcome.
Khunjra Pass is now open year round. So, what role does it play in boosting the trade between both the countries?
This is the one of the shortest route, and expansion is already being supported by the Chinese. The CPEC, the motorway has already reached the Thakot part, and the expansion further, to the areas of the Basha Dam, and then going further to Chilas, and then furthering on to a couple of tunnels that's supported by the Chinese, and then expansion. They're all, will obviously remove those bottlenecks that sometime are very detrimental in smooth and continued flow of the traffic. Then adding on to some of the alternate pathways right across the Chilas, Skardu, then connecting from the Kashmir side, and also expansion of the same KKH. They are being undertaken at a very fast pace. So they will definitely enhance the trade route, and some of the documents and the resources also mentioned that the train project, the rail project will also be considered extending up to the north, so that this is the most cheapest and the fastest route, then connecting right across to the Karachi and the Gwadar airport. Obviously, these are the development initiative that needs time, but are very crucial in promoting this regional connectivity. Ultimately, one belt, one road initiative, like our colleagues Baluch Saab is mentioning, and some other colleagues are also talking. So yes, I see that this is very crucial and our government priorities to expand the connectivity. Yes.
Right, right. And Mr. Sipra, when we talk about this visit, it also includes attending the ninth Asian Winter Games in Harbin. How important are cultural and people-to-people exchanges between both the countries, especially educational exchange?
If you see regarding the second phase of the CPEC, so one of the aspect that is about to betterment of the education and the culture, establish industries and so on. So ultimately, this is a very important the establishment of the cultural ties between Pakistan and China. So ultimately, that will help to close the people-to-people contact, and especially at the start of the CPEC, it was a perceptions about that maybe so many Chinese came in Pakistan, so it may creating the Pakistani and the Chinese diaspora. So ultimately, I think so this is a very good thing if we have to establish the cultural ties, and we have to establish especially the sports, and these are the positive activity, and it is a requirement of the time, and we have to engage our youth in such kind of the activities. So I think so this is a very good thing, especially in the context of that Pakistani youth and the Chinese, they have to collaborate on the basis of the sports, and they have to even improve the Pakistani, especially to eradicate the language barriers. This is also very important because whenever the Chinese came over here, so one hurdle that we see, we have the language barrier. So even in Pakistan, you know, here there is a Confucius department in the Pakistan, in Karachi and in Islamabad, National University of Modern Languages. So that has also been helping the Pakistani to learn about the Chinese language. In this way, I think this will be a great improvement in the cultural ties between Pakistan and China.
Right. And Mr. J.R. Baluch, you earlier mentioned about the significance of AI and cyber security. And cyber security is becoming a growing, of course, concern globally. Do you think in this visit both countries are going to be having some collaboration, or what kind of initiatives in this regard are you expecting?
Yeah, I think we, both the countries, they do like face what is called a hybrid war, which includes use of cyber threats. In fact, China has been victim of certain cyber attacks. Pakistan has been victim of cyber attacks. So I think this is an important sector in which I'm sure there has to be some collaboration. Already is existing between China and Pakistan, but I hope that during this visit that could be further strengthened, because the cyber security is directly connected with the security of our projects, not only our the private sector infrastructure, but even the security. So I think there is a need for China and Pakistan to collaborate in the science and technology. The other point that I wanted to really have in this education and science and technology, that China is one of the, now it has the highest R&D budget in the world, and they have the maximum number and the highest number of patents in the world, even more than the US and other Western countries. So I think we should learn from China and collaborate into R&D, because R&D is the key. If we want to really collaborate and cooperate and go and develop and have that, I always been saying that Pakistan cannot afford to be just following the queue. We have to leapfrog in each field, whether it is agriculture, whether it is IT, whether it is cybersecurity, whether it's digitalization. And in order for us to leapfrog, we have to learn, we have to get the collaboration of a successful model that China has already done. In that case, I think there are in fact, there are several now Chinese universities which compete with the Western countries. The university in Beijing, the university in Zhonghua and in Shanghai. So I think we should start sending our scientists to China. In fact, they are already going, but I think we should do it more. We should ask for more scholarships. We should ask
more
for
educational exchange programs, of course.
Exactly, a more collaborative scientific research has to be encouraged in different fields. Yes.
Of course. And Dr. Jasim, when we talk about different reports that indicate Beijing's economic slowdown, do you think that Beijing will maintain the same level of economic commitment to Pakistan in the coming days?
Yes, I'm pretty much sure about that. That these economic hitches are part of economy. They're all interrelated to the dollar prices and the oil prices and the fluctuation and the global security. Like you are witnessing what the Trump agenda was. Forecasting the trade earlier and then actually imposing a very heavy tariff on China, Mexico, and Canada. So I see this, will not halter the growth in Pakistan. It will obviously continue to develop with some ups and downs, but overall the trajectory seems to be very positive. Yes.
Right, right. And Mr. Sipra, lastly, of course, Pakistan is going to be celebrating Kashmir Solidarity Day tomorrow. Do you think, of course, Pakistan, this visit of Pakistan's president is going to be having backing of China when we talk about Kashmir issue at UN and other international forums?
Kashmir issue is very important, especially we celebrate this, especially this solidarity with the Kashmiri people. And this visit of the President Zardari, that is a very important, and that will be a great support, especially from the Chinese. Chinese already very clear about whenever the Indian, they have withdrawn the special status of the Kashmir. And then they also have talked about, especially whenever even the Kashmir issue is concerned. So China is very clear about it must be resolved according to the United Nations resolution. And India has to stop brutal actions and the brutality in the Kashmir. So Kashmiris people are been suffering since long. So ultimately President Zardari's visit at that time, it's a great message to India that China is with us, and if they will even try to sabotage the peace in Pakistan, so ultimately
of course, and this is going to be reinforcing Pakistan's stance and of course China's backing for Pakistan's stance on Kashmir issue. I thank all three of my panelists for joining us in today's program. That's all from tonight. Thanks for joining.